Madi Cannon's parents have confronted Lil Wayne over his relationship with their daughter after rumors of a secret engagement surfaced. They raised concerns about the age gap and his past dating history. Keep watching to find out the exact promise he made to her father to prove his intentions are real. So, here's where this whole thing begins. For weeks, there was no confirmation, no statement, nothing official, just rumors. Then one photo did what months of speculation couldn't. There was no hard proof of an engagement until a photograph closed the loop. A casual image of Lil Wayne, Cannon, and Skip Bayless with a caption that flatly labeled Cannon as the rapper's fiancé. That single post is what turned a rumor mill into something people started treating as confirmed. That one post transformed a persistent rumor into a widely accepted fact, and the silence from Lil Wayne's camp only solidified it. Before that photo, this had already been building for months. TMZ had reported that Wayne allegedly proposed to an Indiana woman in her 20s, and fans spent a week trying to track down the mystery fiancé before an Instagram page called Live by Tees may have found her. The page put out a video showing a 23-year-old named Madi Cannon, also going by Madi K, claiming she'd been on tour with him already with more stops apparently on the way. And Wayne? Nothing. The rapper still hadn't spoken out about any of it, and it seemed like neither had Madi. That silence became its own headline. Neither Lil Wayne nor Madi Cannon had addressed the engagement rumors at press time. So, while the two of them said nothing, everybody else had plenty to say. Skip Bayless, yes, the sports commentator, ended up being the one who accidentally broke the story wide open just by posting a photo from a regular hangout. Bayless is a legendary sports TV host who visited Wayne before his tour, and the two are very good friends who hang out quite often. Typically, those visits are just Wayne, Skip, and Skip's wife Ernestine. But this time Madi was there, too, evidenced by the photo Bayless posted himself. For a lot of people, that was the first time they'd actually seen Wayne standing next to his new fiancée. Now, this is the part where the family angle comes in. Madi Cannon isn't from a celebrity world. She's not a Nepo baby, not an industry plant, not someone who grew up around red carpets. She's a 23-year-old plus-size model and social media personality from Kokomo, Indiana, a city known for its manufacturing history, not for producing entertainment industry figures. Her whole online identity was built on something completely different from what a lot of celebrity partners project. Her content leans into body positivity and fashion, the kind of unfiltered, relatable posting that stands in contrast to the polished feeds of a lot of celebrity partners. And she built a modest but loyal following without leaning into controversy. That normalcy is exactly why this hit different once it got out. A family in a Midwestern manufacturing town watching their daughter's face turn into an FBI-style investigation online. Reports pegged the rap legend 43 as allegedly engaged to the 23-year-old Indiana native, and social media conducted what amounted to a full-blown investigation. X, Reddit, Facebook, Threads, gossip blogs, and self-appointed relationship experts all weighing in. Think about what that actually means for a family that never signed up for any of this. One day your daughter's Instagram is just fashion posts and body-positive captions. The next, strangers online are dissecting every photo, every caption, every location tag trying to prove or disprove a relationship with a rap legend 3 times her hometown's average age. An image surfaced of the 23-year-old Kokomo, Indiana native in the background of a Wheezy show. And from there, the sleuthing didn't stop. A newly surfaced video showed Madi backstage before a performance standing right behind Wayne and walking with him as he made his way to the stage. Every frame got zoomed in on, cropped, reposted, captioned. Beyond the TMZ report and a handful of photos and videos, fans really only had internet sleuthing and presumptive interpretations to go on. And that's the tension sitting at the center of this story. A private relationship, a private family in a town most people couldn't find on a map suddenly thrown into a spotlight that Lil Wayne has spent over 2 decades learning to live inside. But that Madi Cannon and everyone around her, including her own parents, never asked for. That's the piece we're digging into. Not just the relationship itself, but what it's meant for the people standing closest to Madi, The people who watched her grow up in Kokomo long before anyone knew her name and who are now watching that name get attached to one of hip-hop's most talked about love lives. To understand why this relationship became such a flashpoint for her family, you have to understand where Madi canon actually comes from, because it's about as far from Lil Wayne's usual orbit as you can get. Madi Cannon is a 23-year-old plus-size model and social media personality from Kokomo, Indiana, a city best known for its manufacturing history rather than any connection to the entertainment industry. No industry connections, no prior brush with fame. Kokomo is not a celebrity hub, and Cannon has no prior history of high-profile relationships or entertainment industry ties. That detail matters a lot when you're trying to picture what her parents were dealing with. This isn't a family that had any kind of preparation for tabloid attention. There was no manager, no publicist, no crisis plan, just a daughter who built a following around being real and then found herself at the center of a story she didn't write. So, how did she even end up connected to Lil Wayne in the first place? The reporting on this stays pretty vague, honestly, which is part of what makes the whole thing feel so unusual. Those familiar with the situation say that she and Lil Wayne met through mutual acquaintances and that the connection developed organically, far from red carpets and paparazzi. No public meet-cute, no industry party, no dating show, just two people who apparently crossed paths through people they both knew and then quietly kept building something away from cameras. For an artist who spent more than 2 decades in the spotlight, often grappling with the pressures of fame, Cannon's grounded Midwestern roots are said to be a significant part of the appeal, and the relationship was never designed for public consumption, with that intentional privacy defining it from the start. That's actually a pretty consistent thread through everything reported about this relationship. Deliberate privacy, the secrecy, the Midwestern setting, and the apparent lack of interest in a media spectacle all suggest a deliberate effort to protect something he values, which tells you something important. This wasn't a relationship built for headlines. It got dragged into headlines. And that distinction matters when you think about how Madi's parents would have experienced it, because here's the thing. The engagement didn't break through a magazine cover or a coordinated social media rollout. It emerged gradually through a series of observations made by fans and online communities who treat celebrity relationship patterns like puzzles to be solved. That means Madi's family didn't get a heads up. They didn't get a moment to prepare a statement or brace for questions. They watched their daughter get identified piece by strangers on the internet before anything was ever confirmed by the people involved. By early 2026, several oddities had caught fans' attention. Lil Wayne, whose time is usually split between Miami, Los Angeles, and New Orleans, began appearing more frequently in Indiana, while Madi Cannon's Instagram activity drew scrutiny over subtle alignments. That's the kind of digital detective work that doesn't just affect the two people in the relationship. It pulls in everyone connected to them: friends, co-workers, and yes, parents, whose social media, whose neighborhood, whose entire lives in Kokomo suddenly became fair game for anyone trying to crack the case. By spring, the rumors had grown loud enough that gossip outlets began reporting on the possibility of a secret engagement. Think about what loud enough means from the inside of that family. It means your daughter's name is being searched. It means people you've never met are speculating about her life, her choices, her judgment, all before she or Wayne had said a single public word about any of it. And that silence, the one we talked about in part 1, didn't just protect Wayne and Madi from having to answer questions. It also meant Madi's parents had zero official information to work with either. At the exact same moment, strangers online were building an entire narrative about their daughter's love life. It's not surprising for Wayne to be more private about these matters, given his past. From his high school sweetheart, Toya Johnson, to the mothers of his other kids like Lauren London and Nivea, to past relationships with Trina and Denise Beto. This is a man who has run this play big before. Keep it quiet. Let people speculate. Address it only when you choose to. But Madi Cannon had never run that play big. Neither had her family. They were learning the rules of celebrity relationship scrutiny in real time, with no experience to draw on and no warning that it was coming. That imbalance, one side seasoned in handling fame, the other side completely new to it, sets up everything that follows. Because once The age gap became the headline. That imbalance only got bigger. Once the engagement moved from rumor to accepted fact, one number took over the entire conversation: 20. That's the age difference between Lil Wayne and Madi Cannon, and it became the single loudest part of this story. Madi Cannon is 23 years old, making the age gap between her and the 43-year-old rapper exactly 20 years. And it wasn't just the raw number that caught people. It was who else that number bumped up against. That gap, and the fact that Cannon is several years younger than Lil Wayne's eldest daughter, Regina Carter, who is 27, ignited a broader cultural conversation that has played out across social media and entertainment commentary. That's the detail that turned a private family's private concern into a public firestorm. The idea that Wayne's fiancée is younger than his own oldest child. It's the kind of fact that doesn't need any embellishment. It just sits there, and people react. And react they did. The discourse got deeply polarized. Though both parties are consenting adults, critics voiced discomfort with the age dynamic, arguing that a relationship between a man in his 40s and a woman barely out of college raises real questions about power balances and life stage compatibility. Now put yourself in the shoes of Madi's parents reading that kind of commentary about their daughter. The observation that Cannon is younger than the rapper's own child became a recurring point of criticism, underscoring the unease many feel. That's not abstract internet noise if it's your daughter's name attached to it. That's your family being used as the example in a debate about power dynamics playing out across every platform at once. Of course, there was a counter-argument, too, and it got just as loud. Supporters pushed back by emphasizing personal agency and the right to privacy, arguing that Lil Wayne has endured decades of public scrutiny and that his choice of a partner, who is both legally an adult and seemingly uninterested in fame, should be respected. Some pointed to how Wayne looked in recent photos as proof the relationship was doing him good. Many noted that the rapper appears visibly healthy in content in recent photographs, suggesting the relationship has brought stability rather than turmoil. But even that defense carries an edge to it if you think about it from Kokomo's side, because the defense is always framed around Wayne, his scrutiny, his fame, his history, his right to choose. Madi becomes the object being discussed rather than a full person in the conversation. And that's exactly the kind of framing that would put any set of parents on edge. Watching your daughter get reduced to his choice in a national conversation rather than someone making her own choice alongside him. The larger debate reflects people still wrestling with how to evaluate age gap romance in the public sphere, especially when celebrity and wealth are added to the equation. And that wealth piece isn't small context here, either. As of 2026, Wayne's net worth is estimated to be approximately $170 million. That's not a detail that erases anyone's feelings. It's a detail that adds another layer to the questions being asked about influence, about leverage, about what a 23-year-old from a manufacturing town might be walking into when she enters a world worth that much money. There's also the pattern piece. This isn't Wayne's first time doing this exact thing. Madi Cannon is not the first plus-size model Lil Wayne has been engaged to. From 2019 to 2020, he was publicly committed to Latisha Thomas, an Australian model and makeup artist who, like Cannon, celebrated curves and body confidence. Wayne has been engaged 2 times before to Nivea and Latisha Thomas, although he has never been officially married. That track record matters because it means any family watching this unfold has more than just internet noise to worry about. They have precedent, 2 prior engagements, neither, one making it to a wedding. There's even a cynical read circulating that suggests the ring was given to pacify or stabilize the relationship rather than as a genuine step toward marriage, a view rooted in skepticism about celebrity relationship patterns. If you're a parent in Kokomo, Indiana, watching your daughter's engagement get compared publicly to 2 previous engagements that both fizzled out, that's not just an internet talking point. That's a real question about what happens to your daughter if history repeats itself, and whether the answer even matters to the millions of strangers who've turned her relationship into content. That's the world Madi's parents found themselves reacting to. Not just a relationship, but a whole debate about age, power, money, and pattern, with their daughter standing at the center of all of it. And Wayne, as usual, staying quiet through the entire thing. By this point, the story wasn't just about Wayne and Madi anymore. It had spread out to swallow the whole town of Kokomo, and by extension, everyone who'd ever known Madi before she became a trending topic. Once TMZ's report about the alleged proposal to an Indiana woman got out, fans spent a full week working to find the mystery fiancé, and an Instagram page claimed to have tracked her down. A week. That's how fast a private family in a small Midwestern city got pulled into a national gossip cycle before anyone in that family had said a single public word. And once fans had a name, they didn't stop digging. The page that identified her also posted an alleged picture of Madi at a recent Wayne performance, and a picture of her with a luxury bag, each one treated as a clue, each one dissected for what it might reveal about the relationship's timeline, seriousness, or authenticity. Not much else was known about her online, but internet sleuths kept peddling theories and offering alleged scoops, even though as far as Madi's connection to the New Orleans rapper or the context of her romance, folks were completely in the dark. That's an important detail. People were building entire narratives, forming entire opinions, without any actual information from the two people involved. That's the exact environment where families get caught in the crossfire, where speculation fills the silence, and every guess gets treated like confirmed fact. Think about what that does to a household. Reporters and internet sleuths trying to identify not just Madi, but potentially the people around her. Her parents, her siblings, her friends, anyone who might confirm or deny a detail. Some of the public reaction skewed happy for the couple, while others were more critical of the age gap and the dynamic. But again, no one really knew any of this for certain. That uncertainty didn't slow anything down though. If anything, it sped up the speculation because uncertainty online just means more theories, more debate, more attention on a family that had zero say in any of it. And here's where the confrontation angle of this whole saga really lives. Not in a single dramatic scene, but in the slow, grinding pressure of watching your daughter's private life get picked apart in public without warning and without her consent to any of it. Maybe answers would come eventually, or the alleged couple would let the rumors slide. This could be a big misinterpretation, or a distraction they simply weren't ready to address. That kind of drawn-out uncertainty is its own kind of confrontation. Every day without a statement is another day a family has to sit with strangers debating whether their daughter's relationship is genuine, exploitative, romantic, or calculated. Often all four opinions circulating in the same comment section. Elsewhere, other Lil Wayne family news included reflections from his kids, with his daughter Regina Carter recently speaking on how her father's celebrity status and provocative lyrical content kept her out of private school growing up. That detail is worth sitting with for a second because it shows this isn't new territory for Wayne's family. His fame has shaped his children's lives in ways they've had to publicly process before. Perhaps Wayne's children would speak out about his alleged fiancée soon. But for family matters like these, silence has often been the answer. So on one side, you a family, Wayne's, that has decades of experience absorbing this kind of scrutiny and choosing silence as a strategy. On the other side, you have Madi's family in Kokomo with no such experience watching the same kind of scrutiny land on their daughter for the very first time, with no playbook of their own to fall back on. That mismatch is the real tension driving this whole story. It's not really about whether the relationship is genuine. Nobody outside the two of them can answer that. It's about what happens to the people standing just outside the spotlight. When a private life gets forced into public view faster than they're prepared to handle it. A mother scrolling through comments about her daughter's body. A father seeing his daughter's face circulated next to a $170 million net worth figure, like it explains everything about her. Neighbors in Kokomo suddenly fielding questions about a girl they used to see at the grocery store. That's the pressure that's been building under this story the entire time. Even as Wayne and Madi themselves have stayed almost completely silent about it in public. So, where does all of this leave us? After all the speculation, all the tracking, all the debate about age and money and pattern, what's actually confirmed and what's still an open question hanging over Madi Cannon's family? The clearest thing we know is that the two of them are, at minimum, publicly acknowledged as a couple now, even if neither has addressed it directly in their own words. Lil Wayne is currently engaged to Madi, a 23-year-old social media influencer from Kokomo, Indiana. Not too much is known about Cannon beyond the fact that she also goes by Madi K, and it's still unclear exactly where the two of them met, though at this point they are set to get married. Even that appearance with Skip Bayless, the moment that basically confirmed everything for the public, was low-key by design. For the most part, the two have kept their relationship low-key. If it weren't for TMZ, most people probably wouldn't even know about the engagement at all. And the pair only made a joint appearance on social media that one weekend, thanks to Bayless. What we don't have, still, is anything on the record from Madi's family. No statement, no interview, no public comment from anyone in Kokomo about how they feel watching this unfold. At this point, wedding plans remain unknown, which means the uncertainty that's defined this entire story from the start hasn't actually lifted. If anything, it's just settled into a new, quieter phase. That's consistent with how Wayne has always handled his personal life. Through all of it, Wayne appears completely unbothered. The man has spent over 2 decades surviving rap beefs, record label drama, and internet rumors, and a few social media comments aren't exactly keeping him up at night. That composure is part of what's made him such an enduring figure in hip-hop. It's also exactly the quality that makes this situation harder for Madi's family to read. When the person at the center of the storm won't engage with the noise at all, the people around him and around Madi are left guessing right along with the rest of the internet. Whether this chapter culminates in a marriage or eventually fades like his past engagements have, it's already added a new and intensely discussed dimension to the life of one of hip-hop's most enduring figures. That's true for Wayne, but it's just as true, maybe more true, for Madi Cannon and the people who raised her. A daughter from a manufacturing town in Indiana is now permanently tied in the public record to one of the most scrutinized relationships in hip-hop, regardless of what happens next. And that's really the story here. Not a single dramatic sit-down, not one viral confrontation caught on camera, but a slow, sustained pressure that's forced a private family to watch their daughter's life get picked apart by strangers, weighed against a $170 million fortune, compared to 2 failed prior engagements, and measured against the age of the man's own adult daughter, all without a single word of explanation from either Wayne or Madi about what any of it actually means to them. Cannon has cultivated a modest but loyal following by showcasing self-love and personal style, without leaning into controversy or clout chasing. That was her brand before any of this. Quiet, steady, unbothered by drama. Whether that stays true for her and for the family who watched her build that following long before Lil Wayne ever entered the picture, is the part of this story nobody outside Kokomo can actually answer yet. The ring is real. The photo is real. The silence for now is the only statement either side has given, and it's the one thing everyone, including Madi's parents, is still left to interpret for them.